Okay, so I wanted to do kind of like my mid-year check-in and share the best drugstore launches of the year so far. I usually film this video in June and we're kind of getting close. And truthfully, there have been so many drugstore launches this year. It's a little bit overwhelming and so many of them are really, really good. But I wanted to narrow it down to like the absolute best of the best, the top tier releases. In fact, as I was actually making my list for this video, I had a lot of additional products on it and I decided to take them off because I didn't want to just share products I like, products I enjoy. I wanted to share products that blew me away in terms of quality and formula and things that I reach for every single day. If you are not new to my channel and you catch a lot of my drugstore related videos, this probably will be a little bit repetitive for you. I don't think anything will come as a surprise because I've talked about these products so much on my channel over the last few months. And that's because I use them every single day. I'm not someone who will rave about a product once and then you'll never see it on my channel. I talk about the products that I use in my daily life, and these are things I cannot stop reaching for, just like I said, the best of the best. So let's jump into it and get started. I was originally going to rank these products, but it's kind of hard to compare different formulas like a lip gloss compared to a mascara in terms of ranking. So let's actually split it up by category. Let me start with cheeks. So one of the first launches of the year that I just love so much that has become a true daily staple is from e.l.f. These are the Camo Liquid Blushes. So these retail for $7, such a great price. They come in 9 different shades. I kind of go back and forth between if I want to try additional shades or just kind of stick with what I have. I mainly wear the 2 lighter shades I own the most because I don't tend to go too bold when it comes to my blush color, but they do have really beautiful, vibrant shades. They have some softer neutral shades. It's so lightweight, so easy to blend into the skin. There is no streakiness, no patchiness. Honestly, I find these to be basically an identical dupe to the Rare Beauty liquid blushes. So if you're looking to try that formula, but you don't want to spend the money on the higher end alternative, these are a great option. Or if you're not even sure that you would like a liquid blush, try this formula because it really is so easy to use. Very beginner friendly. It's great for like on the go makeup days when you don't have a lot of time because it doesn't take a lot of time to work with. It has a really beautiful soft satin finish that looks so natural on the skin, but you can also set it with powder and get more of a matte finish. And I do find that these last extremely well on my oily skin. So these will definitely be a summertime staple for me as well. Now that all the brands are doing liquid bronzers, I would love to see e.l.f. launch a camo liquid bronzer. The formula would be so perfect because it is very easy, very effortless. I wouldn't even feel the need to buy a higher end alternative because this formula is so good. I know they have their Halo Glow contour wands and blush wands, but this formula really is superior. Speaking of bronzer, Milani did release a cream bronzer that I think is so beautiful. This might have actually come out at like the very end of 2023, but it was part of their 2024 collection. It is their Cheek Kiss cream bronzer in the shade Hey Honey. So this comes in 4 different shades. The shade that I have, oh, I just said is Hey Honey. I will say it pulls a little bit more warm toned than I initially thought it would based on the photos online. I'm not sure if that's the case with the other 3 shades, but definitely something I wanted to note. This formula is very, very beautiful. It's highly pigmented, so a little bit of this goes a very long way. You can sheer it out or you can build it up, so it's very customizable, but this formula leans a little bit more matte on the skin. If you're using like a very dewy primer or a very glowy foundation underneath, it is going to affect the finish of the bronzer to an extent, but the reason why I tend to reach for this one over like a more dewy or glowy cream bronzer is because it does seem to last longer on the skin throughout the day. So if you have oily skin, this might actually be like an ideal cream bronzer formula for you. It is infused with Bulgarian rose, watermelon seed oil, and pomegranate seed oil. It has this really beautiful creamy texture to it. It feels very moisturizing on the skin. I definitely think this is a really great option that you can find at the drugstore. I will say this comes with 0.21 ounces of product. And if you compare that price per ounce compared to other formulas, other brands, even high-end brands, it does kind of break down to be a very similar price to some of the less expensive products at Sephora. So if that is something that you like to take into consideration, it might make more sense to you to go with another formula where you get additional product. But if you're not someone who tends to use up products fully before they dry out or expire, it might make more sense for you to go with this one. It doesn't look like I'm going to hit pan on it anytime soon, and I use this a lot. And I have hit pan on cream bronzers. I've actually used up my Makeup Revolution cream bronzer like 2 or 3 different times. So it is a product that I tend to be a little bit heavier handed with, but because this is so pigmented, I feel like I don't end up using as much when I use this. I think it's beautiful, a great option, especially if you have like oilier skin and you're looking for a cream bronzer that stays in place really well. So, like I said in the beginning, I kind of thought about ranking the products, but it was a little bit difficult when it came down to it. If I had ranked them, these next two products would have been at the top of my list for sure. I am so impressed by this launch. I feel like it is one of the best launches I've seen from the drugstore in a really long time in this category, and that would be powder bronzers and powder blushes. So, NYX came out with their I swear I can never say this right on the first time. NYX came out with their Buttermelt blushes and Buttermelt bronzers. And these formulas truly just glide on the skin so, so beautifully. I haven't been a big powder bronzer fan for probably a few months at this, or no, a few years at this point. I can't really remember the last time I got excited about a powder bronzer other than the Flower Beauty one, which is the one that I tend to reach for really, really often. But since I tried these, I've been using these nonstop. So this bronzer comes in 8 different shades. I will say the initial reason I was kind of drawn to this bronzer launch is because a lot of the shades are very rosy toned, and that's kind of harder to find. I love a good rosy toned bronzer, which is why I love the Flower Beauty one so much. But in person, the shades definitely look different. A lot of them pull warmer than they actually look online. Online, they look kind of cool toned. Some of them are more neutral, but in person, I find that at least the two shades I have are significantly more warm toned. So I would recommend checking out this product in person just so you can see what the shades look like in real life. But I'll swatch the two that I have for you. Today I'm wearing the shade Deserve Butter, which is the light medium neutral shade. And I do like the neutral one better than the warm toned one. Even though it still pulls a little bit warm on me, it's not quite so warm or so orangey. These are $10. I really feel like NYX could have gotten away with charging even more. And I don't know if they knew there was going to be so much hype around the bronzer and the blush launch, because I feel like they probably would have raised the price tag a little bit because they do tend to be known for having some expensive drugstore products. But truthfully, $10 feels like a steal because this formula is so creamy, incredibly smooth, very rich and pigmented. But even though it is so pigmented, it's very easy to blend out. So if you apply a little bit too much, you can just keep blending and it will melt into the skin in the most perfect way. This product has the most beautiful glow. Like, it's the type of glow I wish all of my cheek products had. It's like this natural, soft, lit from within glow. It's not shimmery and it's not glittery, although I have heard some people describe these as shimmery. So I almost wonder if it's the way the batch was mixed or the way it was poured, because I do feel like people are having different experiences with them. And with the bronzers, I personally haven't seen any shimmer. It just gives like this natural, soft glow to the skin, which is why I love it so much, because it's just very beautiful. Like, everything about this looks and feels so good as you wear it and as you apply it. So this has definitely been my favorite bronzer launch since, I'm trying to think, probably like the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, which I used to love back in the day. These kind of remind me of that, but they're definitely more pigmented and they have more shades to choose from. And just to note, they do have a little bit of a scent. It's kind of like a coconut beachy scent. It's pretty subtle. Like, once it's on the skin, I don't smell it at all, but you can smell it as you're applying it and in the pan. After the Buttermelt bronzer launch, NYX came out with the Buttermelt blushes, and I think I like these just a little bit better. So these come in 12 different shades. Again, they retail for $10 each. I feel like these tend to look a little bit glowier on the skin, and some of these actually do have shimmer mixed into them, but they do differentiate on the website, so definitely check that out before you buy them. Even the ones that don't have shimmer still look very glowy on the skin. These almost have a little bit more of a satin finish, but not in an unflattering way. Again, these look very smooth on the skin. They just give your skin like this airbrushed effect. They did glowy like perfectly with this formula because it doesn't enhance texture or breakouts. As someone who has very textured, very breakout prone skin, it's nice to have a product like this when I want a little bit of a glow, but I don't want something that really just highlights or draws attention to that specific area. To me, it doesn't usually matter if I want a glowy blush, I'll still wear it whether my skin's breaking out or it's really textured. But if you're someone who does prefer like a smoothing effect, and that's why you tend to reach for matte formulas or liquid formulas, this is going to be your favorite. Today I'm wearing the shade Butter Together, which I only have a very small amount of this on, but I feel like it's perfect for my skin tone because it brightens things up just a little bit without being too over the top or too intense. But if you do love really vibrant shades, they have a ton of options to choose from. These are infused with shea butter, mango butter, and almond butter. So very creamy, very rich, so easy to apply to the skin. They're really, really highly pigmented. So I recommend going in with a very small amount. But again, even if you apply too much, because it is such a creamy, effortless formula, you can just blend it out. So Really, really gorgeous. I feel like NYX made bronzer and blush fun again when they came out with these two lines, and I think they did such a great job with them. They definitely are worth the hype in my mind. These have a little bit of a scent too, kind of beachy, but also a little bit fruity. It's pretty subtle. I feel like when I first got them, it was a lot more noticeable, but the scent in my mind has kind of lessened as I've used them, but it is there, so I wanted to mention that. Okay, I only have two eye products, so let's talk about those. They're both mascaras. So I think the one that came out first was the e.l.f. Lash Extender. So I have definitely become a fan of tubing mascaras over the past year. For a long time, I was not a fan, and anytime I heard the term tubing mascara, I knew to stay away from it. But I feel like formulas have changed, they've improved, and I guess just my personal preferences have changed a lot too. If you haven't heard of a tubing mascara, basically it forms like little tubes over your lashes. So it stays in place really well, but at the end of the night, there's very little effort required to remove it. It just slides off your lashes with some water. It doesn't really seem like it should make sense. Like something that comes off so easily with water shouldn't stay in place well, but typically it does. And I find that usually the formulas are a little bit lighter. Sometimes they can weigh the lashes down, but if they tend to be lighter, they keep your lashes lifted and curled. And that's definitely the case with this one from e.l.f. So this is their lash extender. I currently have it in the shade brown, but usually I do buy it in black. It is pretty, but it's not quite as brown as I would like it to be. The next one I'm going to share with you is a little bit more ideal when I want like a true brown mascara. But this is really soft, very pretty on the lashes. I kind of consider this to be like an easy everyday mascara, so I feel like this color does go well with the formula. The first time I tried this mascara, I hated it, but it's because I wasn't applying it the best way. So this is not something that you can really build up between coats. Like if you apply a coat, let it dry, go back in with another one, you're going to find that it doesn't build well on itself and it almost kind of like tangles up in your lashes. This is the type of mascara you're going to want to swipe on, maybe throw on like a quick second coat and be done with, because once it starts to dry, it doesn't layer well. But I also feel like if you apply it well, you don't really have to go in with multiple layers. So what I'll typically do is apply it to my lashes, and it does a great job of actually separating them and lifting them and lengthening them. It doesn't add a ton of volume, which is fine, which is why I do prefer it as more of like an everyday mascara. But then before that coat even dries, I'll go in with a little bit more right on the tips of my lashes, and it just extends them even more. So you really can get a good amount of length out of this mascara. Even though you aren't going to get a ton of volume, it's not going to make your lashes look super thick. It does make them look very, very long. So if that's your main goal with mascara, if you want that lifted, separated, long look, this is one to try, especially because it does stay in place well. There's no flaking or smudging, and it does come off really easily at the end of the night. So this has been my go-to on like fast makeup days where I don't spend a ton of time on my eye makeup and I don't want like a super dramatic look. The other mascara is from Essence. And again, I know I've talked about this a million times on my channel, but it is the Lash Without Limits mascara. Again, if I was ranking these products, this would be up near the top because I cannot put this down. So I currently have this in black and brown. I'll show you what this looks like on the lashes so you can compare the two shades, because I do feel like out of all of the brown mascaras I've tried, this one is my favorite. And not just because I love the formula, but the actual color looks brown on the lashes. So if that is what you're looking for, I highly recommend the brown one, but I also like the black one. This is definitely more of a dramatic mascara than the e.l.f. one. This does give you a lot of length, just like e.l.f., but this one also gives a lot of volume. So if you want more dramatic, thick, rich lashes, I do recommend this over e.l.f. It's not a tubing mascara, so definitely something to note. It's a very wet formula, so it takes a while to dry, but you can also build it up really easily. And I find that even if I go in with a few coats, it doesn't tend to look very clumpy or overly thick on the lashes. I still get like a nice separated look while getting that added volume and length too. Okay, let's talk a few complexion products. I will say I haven't really been blown away by the complexion category as a whole, but there are a few standout products that I wanted to mention. The Catrice Soft Glam Filter Fluid Glow Booster is a really great option if you like something like the e.l.f. Halo Glow, the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. In my opinion, this is almost identical to the e.l.f. Halo Glow. So if you already own that, I would not say run out and buy this. I think this is a good alternative if you live in an area where e.l.f. is not easily accessible, if you think there's a shade that would work better for you, because if you wear these side by side, you're really not going to see or feel a big difference. I think if I'm being super nitpicky and I'm looking for differences, like really trying to pull for differences, I would say the e.l.f. has slightly more coverage, but that's about it. And there are the very obvious differences, like the e.l.f. one is 14, the Catrice one is 10, although that can vary depending on where you live. I know if you don't live in the United States, sometimes e.l.f. is a lot more expensive and Catrice is a lot more accessible. e.l.f. also has 12 shades and Catrice has 9. So I have the shade Light. I'll show you what this looks like on the skin. It's very beautiful. You can use this type of product in a lot of different ways, as a base, as a mix-in with moisturizer or skincare or foundation. You can use it as an actual liquid highlighter. My favorite way to use it is mixing it with my foundations or my tinted moisturizers or even my concealer, just for like a very glowy natural look. It's really pretty. It definitely gives your skin like that nice illuminated effect. At this point, a lot of brands have done something similar, so this is not necessarily the most unique launch, but if you live in an area where Catrice is really easily accessible, if you love the brand, then I do think this is worth trying if you don't have something similar, because the quality is definitely there. I think they did a great job, and $10 really feels like a steal because you are getting such a beautiful formula. So I have other products that are kind of similar. I love the e.l.f. one, I love the Catrice one, but I do feel like I could pretty much use them interchangeably. Now, it does seem like a lot of brands are shifting the focus from glowy products to really bronzy products. And e.l.f. actually launched their bronzing drops, which again, I have talked about fairly recently in a couple of videos, but these are definitely worth mentioning. I have tried the Drunk Elephant bronzer drops, and a lot of other brands have kind of come out with something similar at this point. And I have to say, out of everything I've tried, I do think the e.l.f. ones are my favorite. First of all, they're more affordable. They retail for $12. They come in 3 different shades. These are made with vitamin E, which is meant to moisturize and nourish the skin. They're also made with sunflower seed oil, which does kind of create like the very smooth, soft effect. The reason why I like this formula compared to a lot of other brands is because they are more pigmented. So that is really nice if you're going to mix it in with something, whether it is your moisturizer or your foundation or your serum. When e.l.f. talks about these, they always recommend mixing them with like a moisturizer or another product to really get like the best effect. You can use these on their own. I don't find that they look streaky or patchy when I apply them directly to my skin, but I usually have like moisturizer underneath or something underneath to kind of aid in blending them out really well. But overall, I do prefer to kind of mix them in with something to get the best effect, but they're very, very customizable, very pigmented, so a little bit goes a long way. And I just think that these are the best out of all of the ones I've tried. The last complexion product is actually a concealer, and I feel like this has grown on me since I first started using it. It is the NYX Pro Fix Stick Correcting Concealer. So I don't usually prefer a stick concealer or a pot concealer. I usually love just like a liquid concealer that comes with a doe foot applicator that you can use under the eyes or to spot conceal. But lately, I've really been loving this one, not even lately, like over the last few months, as an actual spot concealer. So I don't prefer this under the eyes as much as I do for like covering and kind of disguising any redness or dark spots. So they do have actual color correcting tones, but they also have like a really big range of shades as well. They have, let me just look, 24 shades total. It's a very light, very smooth texture, and it's definitely like a creamier feel compared to a typical concealer that comes in a doe foot or comes with a doe foot. And the reason why I like that for spot concealing is because it just glides over any texture, any flakiness, any problem areas, and it just kind of sets in a very beautiful way rather than kind of drying on that area and enhancing any issues you have going on. So for me, my skin is breakout prone. It's actually been breaking out a lot lately. I've been using this a lot more because of that, because I'll kind of just take a little bit on my finger and tap it over any dark spot, any breakout, and I feel like it just smooths over the area, adds a little bit of coverage, so that way if I go in with foundation or a tinted moisturizer or a skin tint on top, that area on my skin is less noticeable, and I don't need to like layer up the foundation or the skin tint or whatever I'm using. A spot concealer is not a new concept, but I feel like it's not something that I've always taken the time to do in the past because I haven't always loved the results. Whereas this product looks so good on the skin, I actually find myself using it and taking the time to do that extra step of spot concealing before going in with my base product. Let's finish up with lip products. So the lip product I'm wearing today is from ColourPop. It's their So Juicy Plumping Lip Gloss Balm in the shade Vacay Mode. I do have a little bit of lip liner underneath. It's from LA Girl. I believe it's in the shade Maple Glaze. So these come in 6 different shades. They retail for $10 each. These look so gorgeous on the lips. They're so glossy. They look really smooth. I think these are the closest dupe to the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lips that I've tried because they are like the perfect mix between a gloss and a balm. And the reason why I like the Tarte ones so much is because they are so glossy, really comfortable, a little bit thicker. I would say these are slightly thinner than Tarte, but you get the very, very same effect. They look amazing on the lips. Like they really make your lips look incredibly smooth and glass-like. They're not sticky at all. Very comfortable to wear, very, very moisturizing even once they wear off. They do have a little bit of like a cooling, tingling feel to them. It's not painful, but it is noticeable. And they say that they have a peppermint cookie flavor. I don't think they taste like anything, but I do think they have like that thin mint scent to them. So I think it's actually kind of pleasant. Normally, I'm not a big fan of like minty smelling lip products, but I don't find that it's so strong. And I feel like they have a good mix of vanilla in there too, that it's pretty pleasant. And once it's on the lips, I really don't smell it at all. These are so stunning. I feel like I cannot put them down. My only complaint, my only issue is that they only have 6 shades. I wish they would come out with additional shades because these are so beautiful. And I feel like they are the best option. Like every brand is coming out with these. NYX and e.l.f. launched products very similar to these, but I feel like they didn't do them as well. Both the NYX and e.l.f. formulas feel more lipstick-like to me, whereas these truly feel like a glossy balm. So if you're looking for something like that, I highly recommend these. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I was actually really pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed the Milani Color Fetish Hydrating Lip Stains. I thought that I might like them, but I really didn't expect to love them as much as I do, which is weird because I really do love so many Milani lip products. These are really beautiful on the lips. If you've tried a hydrating or glossy lip stain before, you know what to expect. They go on very glossy, pretty rich and pigmented, and as that glossy layer wears off, you're left with a lip stain underneath. There are higher end brands that make them. My favorite is Fenty. I do feel like the Fenty formula is a little bit longer lasting, but out of all of the glossy lip stains I've tried, these are the most comfortable. Sometimes once that glossy layer wears off, you're left with like a very dry lip stain that feels like it just sucks all of the moisture out of your lips, and your lips are just enhanced. Like every single fine line, every amount of dryness is really obvious because you just have that thin stain left behind. That actually doesn't happen with these. These are so comfortable, both while they're glossy and then once that glossy layer wears off. These are actually made with hyaluronic acid and squalane. So they are very, very comfortable, really moisturizing. They do come with they come in 6 different shades. And I will say there isn't like a ton of variation within the color range. A lot of them lean very pink or kind of berry toned. There's a red as well. But I feel like for the most part, like once that glossy layer wears off, a lot of them look somewhat similar on the lips. So again, I feel like it would be nice to see some additional shades, but if you can find a shade that you love, I do think the formula is worth trying. I love that they look so pretty on the lips, and I think that these are a great option if you want comfort. They don't necessarily last like a full 12 hours, so I will say there are some longer lasting lip stains out there, but honestly, you can just throw another layer on, and I feel like you get that pretty glossy effect again, and then they wear for like an additional 6 to 8 hours. So it is worth having, even if you have to reapply it like once or maybe twice throughout the day, because it is so comfortable. So I definitely recommend checking these out if you're interested in a glossy stain. I feel like they are one of the best formulas out there and the one that I like to wear the most. I saved this product for last because, again, if you watch my videos regularly, you are probably sick of hearing about this product. It's from Essence. It's their Hydra Kiss Lip Oil. This is my favorite lip oil launch that I've tried in a really long time. Other than Catrice, I kind of go back and forth between which one is my absolute favorite, Essence or Catrice. I feel like the formulas are very, very similar, but I tried these a few months ago and I love the way they feel. I love the way they look. They're $4.99, really affordable. They have a really large doe foot applicator that just hugs the lips perfectly. It's a really nice, like medium thick plush formula that feels ultra nourishing, very, very hydrating. I love wearing it. I love applying it. And even once the product wears off, my lips still feel really moisturized. While this is on, I feel like your lips look incredibly smooth, super shiny. It doesn't wear off too fast because it's not too thin. Like this really is my ideal lip oil formula. These are infused with hyaluronic acid, jojoba oil, vitamin E, and meadow foam oil. And I do feel like they really just, they're like the all around perfect lip oil in my mind. They have like a hint of color, which is perfect because I don't usually love like a completely clear lip oil, but I also don't love my lip oil to be really pigmented. So I just enjoy these so much. I feel like I always have to have them on hand. I feel like they have a slight vanilla kind of florally scent to them, but a lot of people have said they found the scent to be extremely unpleasant. So if you are really sensitive to scents, that is something to take into consideration. That's not usually something I really like when it comes to my lip products, but I just feel like I don't notice the scent once it's on the lips. But I have read so many comments from you saying that you hate the scent. So I always like to mention that in case you're watching this video and you're like, oh, I don't want to try something with that scent. If that's the case, I do recommend trying the Essence Juicy Balm Lip Oils. These are the exact same formula. These retail for $1.99 each, and they only have 3 shades on Ulta's website, but if you go to the Essence website, they have 5 shades. So I feel like they're still kind of rolling them out and they're not available widely yet, but hopefully that will be the case soon. So like I said, these are identical. I compared the ingredients and they match up perfectly, like line for line. The only difference is, well, there's a couple of differences. These come with less product and they're also less expensive. They're $1.99 each, and these have different scents. So depending on which one you get, like I have Cherry Cheer, which smells like cherries, and then I also have Mandarin Miracle, which smells like oranges. So the ones that I have like a very fruity scent that's a lot more pleasant. These do have a very tiny applicator because the lip oil itself comes in really small packaging. So I don't like the applicator as much. If you break these down price per ounce, these are actually a better value than these. So even though these come with like a very small amount of product, they're only $1.99. So the price does check out. It's not like you're paying, $1.99 for a tiny amount of product. Actually, I did like a full breakdown on a ton of popular lip oils, and this was one of the best deals in terms of value compared to pretty much any lip oil out there. If you want to see that video, I tried all of the formulas on and talked about the pros and cons. I'll link that video below. But I just wanted to mention these as an alternative if you like the formula of these, but you don't like the scent, because these are identical other than the packaging and the fragrance. Okay, so those are the best drugstore launches I've tried so far in 2024. I'm definitely curious to see what the brands have in store for the rest of the year. I'll be trying them out. I'll be reviewing them on my channel, so I would love for you to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And I'll link a couple of related videos for you on the screen, but otherwise I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye.